main axle, where our main axle will be a larger one than this one. And because of the transportation needs, right now it's disassembled into different parts. To give you a better understanding about our first TBM transported to Bangladesh, I will show you a video clip first. So this is how it looks like. So this is the TBM, the largest diameter developed by China, and today it will prepare to transfer to Bangladesh. This is China's self-developed, and that's around, diameter is around 12.12 meters, length is around 84 meters, and its weight more than 2,200 tons. So think about around 12.12 meters, that's around 4 to 5 stories of the building, and the weight of 2,200 tons, that's equal to more than 1,000 vehicles. So we can tell that a very, very heavy and giant one, and this TBM will transport to Bangladesh and play an important role to contribute to the Belt and Road Initiative. That is also why we bring you this live stream. So let's look at how exactly the giant will be transported overseas. I believe that's also you're quite curious. So we are very pleased to invite the chief engineer, Mr. Shen, to introduce more insights and show you the behind-the-scenes stories about how the giant one transported to Bangladesh. So this is Mr. Shen. To all the viewers, good morning. My name is Shen Yiming, and I'm in charge of the transportation. So right now we are at the birthplace of TBM. This is the general assembling shop, and here is we're doing the assembling jobs, and Mr. Shen and I will show you more details around here and bring you a tour around to see exactly how the giant one will be dismantled into parts and transported to Bangladesh. Here are the key. Let's look at the parts, and here are the key ones. We can see first is the thrust ring. So here from my angle, you can see exactly the internal structure. So let's bring you the details. You can see there are 7 layers. So here is the whole thrust system, and that can deal with the large pressures. And for this one, actually can work under the ground around 25 meters. So the pressures is make sure that the TBM is good enough to proceed to prevent the sand into the machine. So all the ceiling layers, these are the doorkeepers to prevent the sand coming into the machine. So this is the role for the layers, and also for sure to provide enough pressure holders. And we also look at the rotating cutting wheel. So we also need to have the lubrication to make sure the wheel functional well. So for the cutting, we call it the carter head, or the rotating cutting wheel, we need to reach a certain standard. So why we make this? Because this is a really large size. As we talk about, the one we gave to Chengdu is just around 8 meters of diameter, but this one, for now, the one we transport to Bangladesh for Belt and Road Initiative, the diameter is around 12 meters. We not just say we make it bigger. We talk about the 11 meters. So the super large diameter, that's 14 meters. That's 2 stories tall. So original one we use is around 8.5 meters, and for the larger ones we use for the road, for tunnel. So that's the one we use. So that's also need to think about for your tunnel. You want to be the length for 4 cars or for 6 cars. If for the larger tunnels, then they need to use around 11 meters of diameter. If we want to have a 6 lanes, then you need to have the TBM with a diameter of 60 meters. So our viewers have a lot of questions for sure, a lot of curious about the details of our thrust system, and I hope we can give you more closer look. So talk about a thrust system. What's the role exactly it plays, and what's the weight and size of the thrust system? So let's talk about the human body, and this is our heart. This is really the core part. So it provides thrust, so very easy understanding. It provides all the energy, and it actually provides the highest power efficiency. So for your heart, it's beating in a very strong way, and then you can tell it provides the stronger thrust, forward power. So for us, it's like the larger thrust power you provide, the better work the TBM can function. So it's also same as your truck, the same for your vehicles. So we have a 3.0T, the same idea for this. It's like the engine. Let's talk about a very easy way. This is the engine. So we talk about it here. This is a very, very important, vital part. It decides whether the machine will function well or not. Prevent the sand and the mud coming into the machine, and also provide thrust power. So it has more than 7 layers. So right now it's around 90 tons for this part alone. It's around 90 to 100 tons. So why we set the threshold for less than 100 tons? So during our design phase, we talk to the field workers and also the people from Bangladesh. Bangladesh, their infrastructure construction not really advanced. So for us, we cannot really provide a high tech required machines to Bangladesh because their port cannot really afford that high capabilities. So we need to really design the best fitting ones for Bangladesh. That is why we set the ceiling numbers for the thrust system. Of course, we make sure 100% safe. So that is also why we make it less than 100 tons, also for the safety issues. So let's continue. So for this one, let's say the heart of the whole TBM is around less than 100 tons. For China's industrial development enjoys a very fast speed, and also right now we have a lot of high-tech results. So the trucks before that can carry this giant is really limited, but right now we have a lot of trucks that are available. So that's all these. I don't know whether our viewers have seen that before. So you can see actually we develop a lot of different kinds of trucks to transport the giant machines. So all these right now are available for us. So all these trucks actually are designated for carrying and transporting the heavy giant-sized machines and parts. So I believe all these here are waiting for assembly. Yes. So we have two trucks. One is around 250 tons, another is 160 tons. These tools are good enough to do the transportation and sampling. So let's look at this one. So the very important part, that's the thrust system right now is ready for assembling. Right now it starts to be lifted. This is around 100 tons in weight. Do you know why we put it in this angle? So we have the extreme numbers for transportation by road. That is why we make it at this angle. That's good for transport. Make our life easier. And we also have different protection systems. Make sure that everything is well protected during the transportation. So you can see we have different plates at the side. So we put it in this angle, it's a little bit slide it. So this is the normal steels, and we have the screws at the side to fix them together. We not really use widening because it will impact the function or the performance of the material. So we have the screws at the side, so that's easy to take them off and put them on. So for this one, how long we need to lift this one up to the position? I believe that's around 10 minutes. So the maximum value. So for this truck, that's around 160 tons. The truck can lift it. And we also have other methods. We also have another one in the pipeline that's around 250 tons in weight. To can lift up to 250 tons of materials. And we also have another one that's around 400 tons capability. So that's the with special design. So as I introduced, why we talk, this is the super large diameter TBM. So for the steel plates, it's around 30 meters wide, 30 meters length, and I can provide around 30 tons per square meter. So everything here is good to provide the capability of assembling and transferring and lifting all these giant parts. So you can see the floor here is not just the normal ones, they are also with special designs. Everything here we need to think about, we need to provide enough supporting capabilities. Otherwise we cannot they cannot place here, we cannot lift them up for assembling. So everything you see here are all with the thoughtful consideration. So this is not really in the different parts. We can see this is the thrust system is in one part, not just divided or disassembled into smaller parts. So this is good enough to carry and deliver in one piece. So that's the thrust system. So we cannot just divide your heart into more details or the different parts. So the thrust system we carry and transfer them in one whole part. So let's go to check other parts. And let's look at this one. That's our power machine. This is the hydraulic fuel tank. This is exactly the fuel tank. So the whole overall thruster is around. I cannot really make sense through the numbers. So talk about the weight of tons. You need to give these thrusters to make it moving forward, and the thruster power should be 50% higher than the weight of your machine. So this is really the biggest, or we can see the largest thruster fuel tank, and this is also made in China. We are self-developed. I remember very clearly for the first one I assembled. A lot of parts actually imported overseas, and we also have the experts from overseas to tell us step by step how to make them all together. So 2 and 3 years later, right now, a lot of parts we can develop by China. For the key parts like the thrusting system, for the fuel tank, for the sealing layers, all right now can make here in China, and we have a very good performance for all these parts. So I'm so proud of our remarkable achievements. Before we imported from Japan, United States. Right now these are all from China. So for this fuel tank, you look at it, very small. That's really heavy actually. For each of them around 3.5 tons in weight. Still, Bangladesh, we need to provide something good for them to use. For Bangladesh, they are not really strong in infrastructure construction. So we cannot really give something really heavy ones to Bangladesh.
就是说，如果我说我刚才跟那个在做翻译工装跟翻译工艺的时候，跟那个在跟我们当地在孟加拉当地沟通的时候，能不能高一点？我说为什么高一点
？So we talk to the people from Bangladesh. We say if whether we can provide the heavier ones. Because like we can provide them one more fuel tank, then can help them to cut the time, increase the efficiency. So that's the thing from the mechanical engineering perspective. So we think about the time for transportation or for delivery that may be fixed. We need to finish all of the jobs by the end of September. Actually, this is a really tight schedule. We really all want to be there to help them. So the one we transport to Bangladesh, how many fuel tanks we prepared? Based on the list we prepared, right now we are around 28 containers. And we use different kinds of trucks. It's around 74 to 78 different kinds of trucks. That's really many. Yes, before we just think about we can use 20 containers. Right now we have 8 more. So during the assembling, the fuel tanks and the thrust system, they link together for assembly, not really. Let me show you more. Put it in a very simple way. You cannot really see the details for this one. This is already hidden inside. A lot of secret actually is in this one. So the electrical machinery behind is this one. So this one actually is provide the power to the main bearing, and then that also provide the power to the cutting wheel, and then also provide the power need for the thrust system. So this is called about as the PV ring.
因为 PV 环呢，还是从那个他们我刚开装的时候
，or we talk about as the transmission ring. So this is the PV ring we normally use for the language we always use for our work. All the construction parts all developed and made in China. For the sealing layers, it's actually quite hard. We need to think about the chemicals elements we use for the rubbers. So the rubbers should be durable and operation assistant. Right now, because China already increased its capability in making all these high-tech parts. Right now, everything you are looking at here can be made in China. We can use the rubbers made in China to do the sealing layers. For the smaller TBMs that all use the parts made in China and developed, made in China. So here we see a really large, long truck. I believe all of us haven't seen that before. So the bearing lines are around 9. There are 9 bearings. And I believe the tires also not the common ones. Yes, these are special designed tires. So 35 tons per bearing times 9. Or let's say 30 tons plus 9 can provide 270 tons. So that is good to provide the supporting platforms for transferring our TBM. So it is really worth to use these trucks. So this is the hydraulic truck. So from the neck to the tail of the truck, that's the hydraulic part. So 3 bearings as one system, so it can divide it in different segments. So you can make it into 7 bearings or 6 bearings. It's like the Lego. Like you can really assemble them for your disposal. So during our transportation, we also need to think about for the different stations. Yes, this one will start from Jiangsu and will head to Shanghai. So Shanghai port is quite busy. So for this job, we had the different permissions required. So we also got the different alarms, and also need to think about the requirements during the whole transportation route. We also have the ceiling numbers for the weight that we can transport it, and we also have the time against our transportation. So here what we're doing is we need to control the pressures, make sure we have the balanced pressures for the whole truck. So when we will see this one's landing on the truck, maybe still need a bit time. So how many trucks, this kind of trucks we need? We already actually transported a part of the parts before, and this truck is especially here for the thrust system or the PV ring. So we still need some time to place the PV ring on the truck. Let's also go around to check other parts. So for our follow-up works, so after we deliver the PV ring, and we will soon receive another one, another TBM, also for the Belt and Road Initiative purpose. So that will to be the one we're going to Bangladesh, that's around 12.12. Another one also for overseas, that's even higher, that's around 13.92 meters. So that's around 1 meter higher than the one we just saw, the one that we will transport it to Bangladesh. So this one is around 2,200 tons in weight. The common one, TBM, that's around 3,000 tons. So that's still a challenge to you? Not really. So right now in our shop, we assembled the largest one, which is 15 meters in diameter. So the 15 meters in diameter is the largest one right now we assembled here in China. So for the TBM, we divide it into 3 parts: the front part, middle part, and the later part. So the fuel tank will put into this one. So this is also the engine of the whole TBM. So later on, the fuel tank will be put inside. So we will transport 4 parts of these. So the heaviest one around 1,300 tons. It's not really easy to dismantle into different parts. I can do it here because we have the different workers and the machines to help us. But after we transport all these to Bangladesh, it's quite challenging to assembling them together. So the TBM will transport to another Belt and Road Initiative. That one already on the schedules. So we will start the work for the next one very soon, which is tomorrow. So the one we're bringing to you for our live stream is the one we transport to Bangladesh. It's the TBM. And our place here will be ready for another TBM for Indonesia. The Indonesia TBM will be 1 meter higher than the one we transport to Bangladesh. That's around 13.94 meters in diameter. That will be the largest for now. So here we see a big one in the round circle. It's a circular cross section. So this is for Indonesia. We talk about this one. That's the boring system in the middle. Why is keeping rotating? Yes, we are polishing the surface. So we want to achieve the seamless renewing. So right now, this one is for polishing its surface. We talk about the largest we can make for TBM. We estimated around 18 meters in diameter. Right now, we are targeting 18 meters of PV rings, and this one just around 30 meters. We can talk about the maximum we can make. That's for the coming years. That's probably around 18 meters. So this is our extreme number. So we have this one, and we can make a lot of different kinds of machines on this one. And we can make a lot of different parts just within our factories. We do not need to do the processing work depend on or rely on other factories. Based on my knowledge, in China, I'm so proud that only my factory, only us, can make the 18 meters in diameter of TBM. Of course, maybe others can also do the job, but for myself, I'm in this industry for 30 years. I'm so proud and also have a sense of fulfillment. I really see everything born here. So I really review the whole journey of the past 30 years. We really make remarkable achievements. So every time you make a new TBM, you still feel it's challenging? For me, all TBM are the same for me. Oh, my child. From 0 to 1, from small to big, and to the part to the whole big piece, to fulfill all the requirements, indicators, to provide very good performance in the field, to do the sampling, to the adjustment, and to see later on you put it into service. The whole process, actually, all TBM for me is the same. Have very strong emotional link. So this is the shop. We can say this is really tall. I can tell you that's around 24 meters, but for the highest part is around 36 meters. 27,000 square meters of its coverage. For the factories of whole machine assembling, this is the largest one. A lot of my business partners visit our factory. They feel this is really impressive. So we need to make a very good job in the very strong performance. So before our live stream is rained a little bit. Right now we're coming outside, and here we also see a lot of parts putting at here. Actually, for disassembling job, you cannot just make it and done in 1 or 2 days. A month ago, we already started the job. And thank you, Mr. Shen. And next, I would like to talk about the parts we display here. And those parts will also be ready to transport it to Bangladesh today. And also, I would like to invite another guest, be a designer, Mr. Yang. To all the viewers, good morning. I see this one. I believe this is the model, right? I believe this one is the TBM we will transport to Bangladesh. This is 100% simulation model to show you exactly the look of the whole TBM to Bangladesh. So let's start it from the cutter head. This is the cutter head, the rotating cutting wheel, around 12 meters for the real one. So Mr. Yang, would you please talk us more about this TBM? So let me show you the details. The overall weight is around 2,200 tons, with 94 meters in length. For the rotating cutting wheel, the diameter is around 12.12 meters, with 220 tons in weight. It can divide it into 5 parts. So you cannot really see here, this is 1 versus 25 scales in simulation. I will show you more details later. And we talk about the cutters. We have 285 cutters. We have the tearing cutters, around 285. So there are different kinds of cutters. So this is the cutting wheel, and the right dots, actually they are the cutters. And think about the knife you use back home, and this is the knife for TBM. The overall different kinds of cutters, we have more than 500. For the cutting, or the we use for the cutter head is around 100, and we also have the tearing cutters, and we also have the cutters at the middle. That's all different. The bearing, we provide 12 machines to provide the rotating power, and the thrusters is around 17,500 powers that provide, so it can moving forward at the speed of 60 millimeters.
比较清澈的泥浆泵送到前面，然后切削下来的这个泥土啊，通过泥水混合之后，再又通过泵再抽出去。
So we provide.
对，我们可以看一下这个灯光的这个一个演示。
There is a pump in the middle, so that a pump will provide clean water to the front. So here is the oil pump. So all here are the pumps.
进出的泵，这个一根是进浆的，一根是出浆的一根浆管。
So this is providing the sand and mud coming in and out. So the outer one is for the pumping out, another one is for pumping in, and this is a control room, and the other is for the electricity control. And the top one, these two is for ventilation. So we will bring the fresh air into the tunnel. So that's the top two pipelines for the ventilation, and make sure everything with high efficiency. We can provide continuously the working 24/7.
那个在我们身后啊，大家看一下，在我们身后就有一个彩色的物体，这个就是真实的
So for this one,
这次出口泵在拉的
in a very beautiful color, and this is the real cutting wheel. This is the actual one we transported to Bangladesh. So you can see the yellow on blue. And here we go. You can see the red. That's the cutter.
这个刀片上面这个这是切刀，这上面的是钨钢合金，这上面的是42糯米的一些刀。
This is the cutter.
那个上面就重型撕裂刀。这个我们看到的这个庞大的物体，就是整个刀盘的一个中心部分。
And we have the tearing cutter.
92吨，它的外周还有4块。
This is the essential part. That's around 92 tons in weight. And we also have 4 different parts.
全是用的是 Q345D 的。
Next to it, and that's already packed.
国产化的。
For the cutting head, or cutter head, all developed, made in China. Everything you see, from design to manufacturing to the material we use, all here are self-developed and made in China. We work together with our suppliers, and for the specific one, designed and made for Bangladesh. And when we achieved the 100% self-developed for the rotating cutting wheel, with all the industry's efforts back to 2012 for Yangtze Tunnel, we made a lot of pilot works for that one. That's around 2012, 2013, and right now everything you see here for cutting wheel are all made, developed in China. So we also saved 2/3 of the cost. So right now the cost is just 1/3 of the original cost. That also helps us to increase our competitive advantages. So before we highly rely on imports, right now we can use everything we make here. So there should be a lot of efforts contributed by ourselves. Yes, during the whole journey we need to do a lot of comparison, experiments to collect the data. Based on all these data, we can rely they're self-developed and made. So this is the rotating cutting wheel, or we can call it the cutter head. Thank you, Mr. Yang. And let's back to Mr. Shen to go around to other parts. Let's go to check different parts here. I believe we will soon see the cutter head will be lifted. So this is around 250 tons in capability. This is the frame crane. Will be very soon to lift this cutting wheel and lift it to the truck here. This is different from the truck we just saw. This only with 5 bearings. So we cannot really compare this one to the truck with the capability of 270 tons. So these two are not apple to apple. So this one right now is 92 tons. This is already after dismantlement. This is the core part of the rotating cutting wheel. So this is the middle part, and we have another 4 parts attaching to it. So that 4 parts already packed, and this one is the core part of the cutting wheel, and we control it under 100 tons. So right now this one is around 92 tons, and we can transfer it in one piece. So overall, it's divided into 5 parts. Before, our original plan is to divide it into 3 parts. And because it cannot guarantee safe transportation, because our original, the heaviest weight is around 160 tons. It's too heavy. So from back to our original design, we already considered the dismantlement work. So right now we put it into the 5 parts. So it's good to transport in 3 parts, but due to the safety consideration, we divide into 5 parts, and it needs around half an hour to lift this to the truck. And the hook is for the lifting. So let's back to the simulation model. For this TBM with 2,200 tons in weight, what is the dismantlement plan? So show us your plan for transportation. Let's look at starting from the cutting wheel. So the middle part right now is the one we just saw. So we divide this one to 5 parts. We cut this as 1 piece. So we divided the surrounding part into 4 pieces, and another piece is the core part of the part in the middle. So we divided overall the rotating cutting wheel into 5 pieces. And inside part, the transmitting parts, that's 1 piece. So we divided the front part into 4 pieces. The middle part also divided into 4 pieces. For the tail part also divided into 4 pieces. So we talk about, we divide this TBM into the front, middle, and tail part. For each part, we divided them into 4 pieces. For the whole dismantlement process is just use a day or a day and a half. That's quite short. But the thing is, we need to assemble them all together like this one in Bangladesh. That's quite challenging. So in Bangladesh, we need to spend quite more time to assemble from the small parts to the larger parts. So we first will assemble the bottom part, and then to the middle part, and then to the parts at the right and left. So this is the fuel tanks. So this is 2 in pair. So we have 46 fuel tanks. So that's the 32 groups. So this is the fuel tanks. We just saw the actual ones inside the shop. So this is the part we just saw. That's around 2 meters wide. And that's also extensible. The extensible length is around 3 meters. So that provides the safety. So that's the safety room is around 3 meters. So this is also the thrust system to make sure the TBM can moving forward successfully. I will not go into details about the materials it used, but I can tell you it's a special design and special materials. All these are in the circular crowd sections, and for the later part, this one, and also divided. So we have the different trolley. The trolley also can divide it. So you can see the links. So that divided into 4 parts of the bogie. So we just constructed 4 bogies, around 30 meters per one. Let's say 20 meters per one. So the longest bogie is around 21 meters. So there are 2 layers, or the 2 storage. So we don't want it too long, make sure it's safe transportation. We also have the requirement on transporting lands. So we need to make sure everything is safe for transportation. And also it need to travel on the highway, and also need to pass the stations. So everything needs to be fully considered. So we have around 20 trucks to transfer them. For the first bogies, first part of the bogies, I divide into 6 pieces, and around 12 pieces for the front 2 parts. So we have a pattern here. So we know maybe we can dismantle the top layer or the bottom layers, and also decide on the length of each bogie. Here we have 4 pillars to support the structure. And we also need to think about the pipelines. So because here is like for the pipelines, it's for behind the ventilation, we also will transport the sand and mud that connecting with the pump. Right? So we have the cutting disc that will be originally touching the sand and mud and water. And then we have the pump to link with the cutting disc. So we also have the water tank at the front. to reach the balance in pressure at the cutting disc. So here we are tunneling, and we have the half water, half sand. So we have the pressure, and we have the pumper to bring the mud to the later part of the TBM. And we also use the air pressure and water pressure. So we need to strike a balance between the air and hydraulic pressures. So we have the recycled pipelines inside to divide it, the water and sand and mud. So how many these kind of trucks we use? Actually, I can tell majority are these kind of trucks. It's around 16 to 17 meters in length. And the one inside, so this one is around 5 bearings, and the one later or inside that's around 3 bearings. So they provide different tonnage capabilities. And let me also show you the video clip. That's a bird view to give you a general picture of how all different parts are lifted. And this is something new. You can see the cutting disc is lifting. So you can see this is a work in progress, and the cutting disc is slowly up to the air and will be placed into the on the truck. So the cutting disc will be moved to the truck next to us. After it placed on the truck, we will have the additional packing to prevent rain, because we also transport over the sea, so we also need to think about how we can deal with the waves. The original painting actually also have the additional functions, and we also need to have the additional coating. So you can see behind it with all grains that should be 100% packed, because they will enjoy the journey around 1 month over the sea. So make sure the materials are well protected during the transportation. We need to give the very accurate tonnage number to the transporting companies, the size, the weight. So they will, based on our list, to arrange the transportation vessel. And let's look at the thrust system. You can see it. That's already lifted and right now transport to the outside. And the cutting disc is also working in progress. Let's moving forward to check other parts. What about the small trucks, small size trucks? So anything lower than 40 tons in weight. And we also have smaller containers can be put on the smaller trucks. Let's look at the containers. What's the secret inside?
打包好了，这个是我的装箱清单，或是我们专业术语的卖头。
Everything's already packed.
头
Yes, this is our list. So what's inside?
它是用
It's all here.
功耗的，哪个地方的，多少重量，净重多少，这毛重多少。
So we have the numbers and what is for which places, what's the gross weight, what's the actual size.
扛得住，像这个的是肯定是我们卖的还要。
So you can see everything is well sealed.
里面是装的都是小部件。
小部件，我可以从这上面看得很清楚。
哦，有清单。
These are all very smaller parts. So we have the list. You know exactly what's inside.
我们的监理都三方。
So also have the person for responsibilities. They all need to sign by 3 parties.
是一样的，就是这张纸上已经不体现了，已经不体现是有三方确认的，只不过在里面写上。
So we have the smaller wood box.
另外一张确认。
And we also have the larger size of the boxes.
大部件的这个包装哈，那这个小的部件的包装是否是也是一件？
So we talk about the package for the smaller parts. That's also quite complicated.
怎么办呢？想些什么办法？
So all the smaller parts actually also need a lot of efforts and tension.
单一的一个图号，单一的一个小箱子。
For a single part,
这个箱子有可能是我有
have the corresponding single box.
一个标签。
So maybe that box only with one label for only one screw. And maybe we also have 20 to 30 boxes with only one label.
这么快哈？大家看一下哈，这个我们刚刚说的这个。
So right now you can see that already placed on the truck. That's right, fast.
到我们这个大型卡车上了。摄像给一个远景。
So that's on the truck.
现在肯定是要试这个。
This is the cutting disc. And also make sure we need to adjust the pressure and weight. Make sure it strikes the balance and safe and stable for transportation. And this is the core part of the cutting disc of the TBM will be transported and assembled in Bangladesh. Why we have the wood? We need to have the wood at the bottom. Otherwise, the steel of the cutting disc will have the abrasion to the steel of the truck. So that wood can be think like a cushioning. So it provide the cushioning function in between. And of course, we're not finished yet. We'll also have the packaging job to be finished. So what? This time we use 28 containers, 6 with the soft sealing. So that use the vents as the A material.
就像我说的一样，我的驱动不是大脑，电气库是我啥呢？是我啊，驱动部是我的心脏，那个是我的大脑。
We have the thrust system, that's our heart, and we also have the parts that's our brain. So that the brain parts should be well protected. That's we also use the designated self-sealing containers to carry them. So here you are seeing with all grains, that's the part we call the bogies. And all the controllers are inside. That's all fixed, packed.
这个也是环体。
对对对，它这个应该是前盾的，不是上部，这肯定不是上部。是
And we have the rings.
前盾的右侧。
And that's the part at the right-hand side. So all the rings here, actually we see different rings sections. How many this kind of shape we have? Around 12 pieces. So the 4 for the front, 4 for the middle part, and 4 from the tail part of the TBM. So 1 piece per one truck. And we think about the tonnage. We can put a larger one plus a smaller one on the one truck. And the one not packed, that's not for the TBM for Bangladesh. And the ground here, the cement ground here, also take into consideration of the tonnage consideration, right? So at the very front design, actually all take into our considerations. We need to make sure the ground is strong enough to host all these giant parts. And this one is the first TBM we use in China. Right now we're doing an outdoor factory. So this just arrived. This is the old cutting disc that already used. So we talk about that it have 5 sections and around 7 kilometers. So this is just now we saw all the trucks for the transportation for the largest diameters of TBM we transport to Bangladesh. And we will show you more stories behind the scenes about the self-developed TBM. And we will show you more behind the scenes stories after you watch the video clip.
This 是谁让中华文明走向世界？又是谁让世界发展注目中国？你欣赏梦幻的中国速度，因为我们传承的是沟通者的前进基因。你称赞智慧的中国制造，因为我们拥有的是透露着的开创精神。
Because we have a groundbreaking spirit. Here is Nanjing, enjoys 1,000 years of history, and the Yangtze River divided into the south and north part. We have right now 2 TBMs with diameters of 15.03 inland. So the tunnel links the north and the south banks together. So this is after 2 stories, and the people enjoy the convenience of the tunnel. And the Dahe is the name of the TBM we use for the tunnel, and this is the CCCC Tianhe. And we also use a large diameter of disc, and this is the one.
Now we're
coming to another area. I believe this very colorful cutting disc is really draw your attention. Let me introduce it. This one is the first largest diameter of TBM developed in China, with 15.03 meters of diameter. So think about one floor is with a height of 3 meters. That's around 5 to 6 storage of buildings. 6,500 tons in weight. It's much heavier, 3 times heavier than the one we transported to Bangladesh. And Mr. Yang will show us more insights about our self-developed TBM in China. So let me show you the details. Actually, this is already used. We talk about the Yangtze River Tunnel. We designed and developed in 2011. The purpose is that there is only one company from Germany that can make this, and their quota is around 700 million RMB, and no Chinese firms could make it. For us, this kind of projects make us very embarrassed. So our boss, against all the conflicts and voices, we make it and also showcase the intelligence of the Chinese makers. And the tunnel actually across the Yangtze River. This is a global scale project. We have a lot of our new technology used here. We have the cutting the sections that all use our own technologies, and we also can make our work processed at the same time. All these back to 2012. This is really leading the world. And this is around 6,500 tons in weight. Design length around 137 meters. And we have 14 machineries to provide the thrusters power. And for our project, actually, we face all different kinds of challenges and difficulties, and also we face the rocks and the sand. Shelters are all different, and with all different scenarios. We talk about the ones we transport to Bangladesh. Actually, we first tested the self-made cutters. So before only this one-piece cutter, that's around 160,000 RMB for importing, and we need 80 cutters. So that's a huge cost. So a lot of overseas companies, they had really high quotas because back then no Chinese firms could make it. So for the Chinese firms, we tackle all the problems, and we do the tests and pilot projects. And right now we achieve the self-developed cutters. These are all designated materials, and every small pieces, only these small materials, that's around 2,000 RMBs. So this one, this is the tearing. This shape is the tearing cutter, and this one like the balls in the ball shape, and this is the hopping cutter. And for the really hard rocks, we'll use the hopping cutter, and for the softer ones, we'll use the tearing cutter. And they can change. These are changeable. Based on the different terrain, we can change different cutters. So this is changeable. We can change different cutters. So this technology is owned by us. Yes, we roll out from this project. And this technology right now is shared home and abroad.
这个是一个长下的刀，这个刀是能从这个后面这个面板的后面抽出去。
So this is also another knife or cutter.
我们看看到这个
So we can change inside. So we can change inside. So before we have a sharp cutter at the front, you need to think about how harsh the rock is. But right now we talk about no matter how hardness the steel is, we can make it. But you can tell it's really, really hard because originally the cutter is really sharp, right now it's only flat. So you can showcase it made really hard work behind. And they designed in a very beautiful cutter. And we also have another one. This is called the Tianhe. And we have a Tianhe number 1. That's the sister TBM. And we talk about for the Yangtze Tunnel, actually we use 2 dBm. The project actually required 2 years. Right now the Yangtze Tunnel is a very vital transportation tunnel for Nanjing province. This is the largest one in China, right? Yes. Let's go back to another one. Just the one behind it. Let's look at the small right one. This black on white, right? I believe this diameter is around 1 meter. And this is for relief. So what is it exactly for? This TBM, the diameter for tunneling is only 0.92 meters. The purpose for this, we use the cutting disc and the cutters of TBM. And for the during the tunneling, we have same for manning. We feel that kind of the uncertainties and the disasters. This is the disaster relief TBM we designed for this specific purpose. And for the relief, so the length is around less than 50 meters. So right now we design with the length of 50 meters, and we can reach to 300, 400 meters based on the requirement. And within 2 hours, we can assemble all these parts and also have a very fast speed. It can thruster 8 meters per hour, 50 meters per day. It can reach the high efficiency for disaster relief and rescue. And we already passed the experiment, and we will bring to the field for the actual usage. And we will help to increase the capability of disaster relief. We mentioned Tianhe is the first self-developed TBM in China. This is also the largest one in China. Besides the disc and the cutters, what about? So actually the fuel tank before is also imported. Right now we also can make everything self-developed, and we have more to explore, but due to the time limit, we only can bring you to here, and I hope you can tune in for more live stream with CGTN. Bye for now.